Hey, good evening. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here with you. My name is Randy Schrader. We're here to talk about a company called Lev AI. But first, I want to, and this is a conversation. I wish we could have a conversation as opposed to a presentation. And I want you to know that I completely understand this is about you. It's not about me. It's about what you can accomplish. Maybe to some degree, it's about what we can accomplish together. But I reflect on the way that I was viewing things only 24 days ago and how dramatically things can change in 24 days. While it's true that I've had among the most successful careers in the entire network marketing industry, it's also true that the last 2.5 years, those things that I've always done have not worked the same as they always did. That is the truth. And as recently as 24 days ago, I was looking back over my shoulder, wondering if all that I had learned, the skills that I had developed, knowledge I had gained, and the person I've tried to become, wondering whether that had market value because that which I have always done is simply a changed environment. That's where my mind was only 24 days ago. And so as I look to the future, I was full of confidence and optimism about things generally because I'm a confident, optimistic person. I was happy about the circumstance in my life and my family. But one of the parts of my overall, one of the contributors to my joy and to my self worth, maybe it should not be this way, but one of the contributors to my self worth is feeling like what I do matters and feeling like I can have more success tomorrow than yesterday because I worked hard yesterday to become more than I was the day before. Only 24 days ago, I was wondering really and truly if maybe the best days of my business career were behind me. That was 24 days ago. 24 days later, we will cross over 25,000 members in our organization, either during this conversation or in the hour afterwards. In 24 days, we have assembled a team of 25,000 people. There is no question about what's different. It's not me. It's not my willingness to work. It's not my knowledge. It's not my skill. It's not me that's different. What is different? What is different is the opportunity. If you feel sort of like I felt 24 days ago, like you're walking through slowly drying concrete, if you feel like maybe your biggest and best years were behind you, not in front of you, and if you've had wonder about whether or not all that you had worked to become was relevant in this new world, then I want to welcome you to Lev AI because what I now know is that all that I had learned is worth more today than it's ever been worth. All that I have worked to become is worth more today than it's ever been worth. Why? Because neither I nor you have ever had an opportunity so profound as Lev AI. What does Lev AI stand for? It's the name of our company, but it stands for Leveraging Artificial Intelligence. This is a new venture. I want you to know that one of the reasons for my complete, unrestricted confidence and joy for the future is because this company is owned by Terry LaCour. Terry is one of the finest operators in the industry. We operate under his umbrella with his imprimatur and in his ecosystem. Thereby, we know in advance that whatever problems occur over time, and problems do periodically occur in life and in business, that the company will have the financial resources, the legal abilities, the accounting abilities to withstand whatever the challenges are and to come out the other side of it stronger. And so we have first the unique opportunity to hitch our wagon to Terry LaCour. And people who have done so historically have had tremendous benefit. And I can tell you that already in a short number of days, Terry has already shown himself to me for what he is. And that is a gentleman, a gifted entrepreneur, a person who cares, a person who is observant of what's going on in other people's lives, and a person who is completely committed to making sure that our business successes are more than business, that they transition, that they go from a business success into personal successes for all those who help him accomplish his objectives. I have thrown my hat in that ring, and I hope you choose to as well. I love the fact that the name of the company, Lev AI, it describes, for those who are knowledgeable, the possibility to leverage artificial intelligence, the future in your hands. And I know that usually you'll see the future is in your hands. No, this is the future in your hands right now as we speak. It's in your hands, it's in my hands. The question is, what do we choose to do with it? And what will we deliver to planet Earth? Accessible artificial intelligence. As we go on, I contemplate on some of the magic moments in my life, a handful of events that, in fact, I've described over my life, over my career, that I've had seven what I've called big meetings. I've realized now in the last 24 days that I had eight big meetings before I got here. I just didn't realize it because one of those big meetings was with a gentleman named Andy Kay. And Andy Kay was one of the He was one of the foundation creators for the computerization of the world. He launched a company called Kpro at the same time that Apple was being formed. And while Kpro ultimately did not survive and did not go on to become one of the industry stalwarts, Andy K was. And one day when I was speaking with Andy, Andy said to me, Randy, the day will come. And at that point in time, he had a box on his desk. And he said, Randy, the day will come when every desk in the world has one of these boxes on it. It's a computer. And he said, global, widespread adoption of this technology is a foregone conclusion. And he encouraged me to get involved. I did not, but now I know that that was the eighth big meeting. And in the course of events, it was about number three and when it occurred. It was the eighth big meeting. I just didn't know it clear until about a week ago because he taught me that every once in a while, very, very, very rarely, but every once in a while, a concept comes along that is so profoundly correct that it literally changes the world, not some part of it, but it changes the world. And he taught me that when that concept comes along, for those who recognize it, he said there will be no choice about adopting. And in fact, you think back, did you have a choice to adopt computerization? If you're my age, you were there when it started. Did you have a choice to adopt? Or isn't it true that a failure to adopt would simply mean the society leaving you behind? You see, Andy prepared me for this moment because this is a moment when, as the entire world was forced to adopt computerization, we are now living through the earliest moments of the entire world being required. It is not an option, it is a mandate. The entire world is being required to adopt AI. And a couple of years later, after that eighth big meeting with Andy, I remember my first dial-up modem, and I remember the internet coming to life. Still at that point in time, though I'd already had that big meeting, I hadn't recognized it as such. And and now I look back at that, and there it was again, right in front of me, but I couldn't see it. The entire world was going to be required to adopt the internet, and I could either use it, it would be thrusted upon me. I could use it, or I could be much wiser and I could be a conduit to other people's use. Well, I missed that chance, as likely you did too, with computerization. I missed that chance, as likely you did too, with the globalization of the internet. I will not miss that chance with artificial intelligence. And the reason I now describe that meeting way back in 82 as one of the big meetings of my life is because I can recall with complete clarity when Andy said, Randy, one of these boxes is going to be on every desk in the world. What I want you to know right now, let me be your Andy K. Artificial intelligence is going to be in every household in the world. That's the truth. And just as I did not have an opportunity, I didn't have the choice to choose not to adopt. No, it's thrust upon all of us. The question is simply this: will we take a page out of the brilliant people that we can look back at and say, okay, do we want to be a conduit to other people's adoption, or will we simply accept that which is being thrust upon us? The difference in outcomes is absolutely incredible. I'm thrilled that Terry LaCour chose to hire my son Blake as the president of this company. He did not hire him because he's my son. In fact, if anything, that was probably a negative part of the thought, not a positive part, because one would be concerned about would Blake and I have some little inner cabal or something? And the answer is no. That probably was a negative, not a positive, when Blake was being considered. But I'll tell you why Blake was hired. Blake was hired because he is a knowledgeable, skillful person who works like very few do. He has grown big businesses on a global scale, both publicly traded companies and privately traded companies. He has guided big network marketing companies to global success, and he has guided big conventional businesses to global success. His most recent success was as CEO of a company called Medical Marijuana Incorporated, as he guided that company through a remarkable time, the end of the prohibition of cannabis domestically and on a global scale. His non-compete agreement recently expired, making Blake eligible to guide this company into the future. And so let me once again welcome you to Lev AI. And now, remember I said that Andy Kay and I had a conversation, was the eighth big meeting all those years ago. And what he said to me was something at that point in time that I simply could not accept. When he said, Randy, there's going to be one of these boxes on every desk, not just a few, on every desk. That's what he said. And I simply couldn't accept it. But because he was right, and because I saw it again with the advent of the internet and the global adoption, then that opened my eyes, my ears, and my hearts to statements like this by Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. Not just anyone, the CEO of Google. who recently stated AI is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. That was kind of like Andy Kay saying to me, Randy, there's going to be one of these boxes on every single desk, but I just couldn't see it. Because of that conversation and because of my reflections on that conversation as I consider the internet as well, I now can have this statement can find its way all the way to my core. I can accept it. I can embrace it. I can know that I will be required to adopt, as will everyone else. But I can also make a decision that, unlike my choice, an unwitting and not conscious decision to not get in front of and do something about the opportunities created by the internet and by computerization, those experiences and that meeting with Andy Kay and the 7 other big meetings in my life have prepared me. And I'm hoping that my experiences can trigger in your minds perhaps similar experiences in your life. And if you've not had similar experiences, I offer you, please, please, please borrow mine. Recognize that AI, artificial intelligence, is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. Therefore, whatever the lids or the caps have been on your prior successes, they can now be removed. Why? Because those prior successes were predicated upon then existent knowledge and then existent technology. The world has changed. It's not just changing, the world has changed. AI is more profound. You see, Sundar Pichai didn't say it's going to be. No, the world has already changed. AI is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. And here we see the deepest mind at DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, stating the difference here with artificial intelligence is it's going to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution and maybe 10 times faster. Now, folks, were these not men of such profound influence and such credibility in the world, we might look at these statements and think they're a little bit out there. Folks, please know and understand this is a foregone conclusion. The difference here with AI is it's going to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution and maybe 10 times faster. Given the nature of that foregone conclusion, then I would hope that I and that you, that we would together adopt this with a high sense of urgency, that we would recognize that these are days that cannot be called back, that not all days have the exact same value. Periodic in our lives, there is a group of days or a single day that has outsized value. We are now living in those days of outsized value, all of us. The question is simply, do we choose to leverage those days? AI should not be feared. It should be harnessed. It should be leveraged. It should be captured. The lightning in a bottle should be put to your use. Here it states that 61% of professional marketers use AI already. But they don't use it to very great effect, do they? Not if you can look and see there's a 38% increase in sales productivity. Well, that doesn't sound like something more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. That doesn't sound bigger than the Industrial Revolution. And so you see, let's look at these numbers through the proper filter. 61% of professional marketers are trying to use a convoluted, confusing, mixed bag with several different applications having to be acquired, several subscriptions that don't communicate one with another, trying to meet the various needs that can be met with one simple solution. And let's also remember that while 61% of professional marketers use AI, what percentage of the world would you say are professional marketers? 2%, 3%? You see, the overall global adoption is a tiny, tiny fraction of that 61%. At the absolute maximum, it's an overall 6 to 7. But let's consider those 61% of professional marketers. Do you suppose they use a computer? What percentage of those professional marketers use a computer? Is it 61% or is it 100? It's 100. That's the percent who will use AI. What percentage of professional marketers use the internet? 100. That's the percentage that will use AI. But now the big message, see, it said on that first screen, accessible artificial intelligence. We will very shortly, in about a week, we will deliver to the planet the most sophisticated technology that is available in the artificial intelligence world, sufficient for any person's use, any firm's use, the most sophisticated marketer. And we will address that need. But there's a bigger need we will address. I have an 8-year-old, and that 8-year-old uses the internet a lot. That 8-year-old uses computers a lot. Let me ask you this question. There are 8 billion people on planet Earth. What percentage of them do you suppose use a computer? 95%, 90% plus that are 8 years old or older, all over the world, developed economies, non-developed economies. I've worked an awful lot in what would be considered more challenged economic environments. I've worked in the rural areas of Mexico. And I spent quite a bit of time in Nigeria, and I know the realities out there of the economic challenges that people go through in developing economies. But you know what? When I travel to those nations, you know what they all do? They're all online. They're all using a computer. What percent of those 8 billion people on planet Earth are going to use AI? 95% of those over 8 years old are going to use AI within the next decade. And today it's about 3% of those same people. The magnitude of the opportunity simply cannot be overstated. And once again, when we see there's a 38% increase in sales productivity among those using AI enhanced CRMs, this is simply a reflection of the fact that that is only one part of the overall solution, and people don't know what they're doing. If this is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past, well, it's certainly not going to result in a 38% increase in sales productivity among those who learn to leverage it, is it? No, it's going to be 380% pretty soon, and then 3,800%, and then 38,000. That is the future. Lev AI, that's the name of a company, our company. But what does it stand for? Leveraging artificial intelligence, and then take it a step further and bringing artificial intelligence to all of the planet, not simply to that handful of sophisticated tech people who are currently trying to utilize it. Lev AI makes it simple for entrepreneurs to launch, market, and grow businesses. A host of problems that are solved by one solution. And the problems are, I've referenced the fact that those attempting to use AI today, they find this mixed bag. This application for customer relationship management, this application to grow a social media presence, this application to grow and maintain a website, this application to give us prompts as to how to grow our business. We can bring them all into one location, one subscription. That one subscription costs a fraction of what the combined subscriptions are. That one subscription, $100 is the most expensive offering that we have. We'll be replacing $800, $900 worth of no longer needed, completely redundant applications that don't communicate one with another. You will know very, very quickly. And by the end of this conversation, you'll understand how Lev AI makes building and maintaining a candidate or customer list far easier. This, of course, the single most important thing for those 88 million small businesses operating somewhere on planet Earth. As a result of parts of this technology I'll describe in the next 5 minutes, it creates confidence about what to say to each candidate or customer throughout the engagement process, and it removes barriers that make you feel stuck. This is for me a big one. My career has been one of remarkable success. I look at it with absolute fascination. I can hardly believe what it has been. My organizations have done in excess of 5 billion US dollars in sales. People in those groups have been paid over $2.7 billion, if you can imagine that. I'm really careful whenever I talk about my own results because they just don't matter. What matters is your results. What can you do? What can we do together? But it is worthy of mention that over that period of time, as crazy as it sounds, I have been paid over 50 million US dollars in commissions and bonuses as a result of engaging in a pattern of activities which created distribution of products. But you know what? The products that distribution was created for never had intrigue of more than 3 or 4 or 5% of the population. And the greater problem is not that the product only appealed to a small segment. The greater problem is that the business mechanism itself was only readily adopted by a tiny percentage of people. So many barriers causing people to feel stuck. I have never in my life interacted with a single person who has done that which is required to succeed, but done it poorly and therefore failed not once. Sadly, what I have met is countless people who simply stood frozen in their tracks, not engaging in the activities that would require success or would create success. Cicero, so many years ago, said that the skill to do comes from the doing. But if one doesn't do because they're frozen behind a wall of fear, then where does the skill come from? And if one lacks skill, then how can results be positive? So you see, if one can remove the barriers that cause one to feel stuck, if one can eliminate the fear of failure, and by the way, we'll do that just like this. I mean, literally in the first hour. How? By illustrating to every person they no longer need to experience failure as a result of engaging in a proved and predictable pattern of activities, long been proven to work, but now becoming accessible to you coming out of the gate. The first chance I have ever seen for an entrepreneur to become profitable in advance of knowledge and skill development. My whole career, I have taught folks the first year or two, your primary income is going to be measured in what you learn. The second year or two, your income is going to be measured mostly in what you learn how to do, the skills that you develop. This is the first time in my life I've been able to say to anyone who is simply willing to engage in the process, we can show you how to become profitable as you gather knowledge and as you develop skill. That's not just a play on words, folks. That means that people can make career choices much, much earlier in the development of the business. That means people who may have had to spend 5 years, 6 years, or seven trying to grow a part-time income before they dare leave that full-time employment they can't stand. We can do in a matter of months what has always taken years as a result of the profound nature of AI, more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past, and then taking that profound set of information and making it accessible to the masses. That is the Lev AI solution. First way we'll do it is recognize that in today's world, one can measure future results by analyzing current influence. A person with big influence will have big results in the future. A person with limited influence will have limited results until they expand that influence. So many years ago, when the social media networks arrived on the scene, I never made a conscious decision to have 1 million followers or 10 million or 20. I have friends, I know people that have 20 million followers or friends on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever it is. um, I can catch up really fast. Now, once again, it's not about me, it's about you. You can catch up really fast. How can you do it? Well, you can do it by jettisoning your current CRM, by eliminating your current customer relationship management software, whomever it happens to be. Is it Go High Level? Who is it? Get rid of it. And in so doing, you'll be able to begin using our CRM, which will cost about 20% of what you're currently paying. In fact, our entire solution will cost about 20% of what you're probably paying for simply for a CRM right now. And the difference is this: when you begin using our CRM, when you do a simple screenshot import of that contact, immediately your Lev AI solution will begin searching and reviewing, studying, and reporting to you about the social media presences of each of those contacts, thereby giving you the ability, maybe for the first time in your life, to enter conversations talking about things the candidate wants to talk about, instead of you trying to convince the candidate to have interest in what you want to talk about. Now, when I said that, that was making an assumption that you have some of my same faulty thinking, and maybe you don't. But I will tell you that over the course of my career, I can now look back and I can see with clarity that for the first decade at least, I was trying to convince people to do what I wanted them to do for my economic advantage. Finally, one day, a clarion call: Randy, wake up. That's backwards thinking. Figure out a way to know what other people want and then help them accomplish that, gain that, experience it at some economic and personal advantage. When suddenly we know what every contact wants, our efficiency will, by definition, go up dramatically. In addition to no longer having to spend money on your current CRM and all these other applications, one of them you'll be able to eliminate. One of the costs you'll be able to eliminate is whoever is the tech firm that you currently pay to build and manage your website will no longer be needed with the AI solution. And then reminders to build your business. Many years ago, I was fortunate to be taught by a gifted, skilled leader who had had tremendous results in building teams. And he taught me, Randy, there's a proved and predictable pattern of activities. There's no luck and there is no guesswork. I now know that one of the ways where I'm a little bit different than so many people is when I find a leader who is accomplishing what I want to accomplish, I do what they suggest that I do. And I don't question it. I don't look left and I don't look right and I don't look up and I don't look down. If there's a leader who's accomplishing what I want to accomplish and he says, Randy, do A and then B and then C and then D, that's what I do. I'm often referred to now as a leader. I'll tell you what probably I am. I'm probably the most effective follower that you'll interact with. I simply find those who are accomplishing what I want and I do what they show me how to do. I've realized now that when I tend to get right dead exactly in the center line, I follow exactly in the footsteps of those who went before me. Most people, they tend to wander all over the place, every once in a while crossing that center line, as I describe it. How dramatically different do you suppose my career and yours would have been if every time you brought a new participant into your business, a new potential leader, What if for the first 100 days or for the first year, you were literally beside them? What if that one person's success was all you had to be concerned with, and you could guide them on a daily basis all day, day after day after day after day, bringing them always back to that center line? Nope, don't do that. That's inappropriate for your level of time in the business. Get back to the center line. Yes, do this. That's the exact right thing you should be doing. Get back to the center line. Constantly bringing people back to that which has been proven to work. You see, that is exactly what will happen when you begin using the Lev AI solution. Your coach, your leader, your mentor literally will be at your side 24/7 in a digital way, such that you don't have to guess. Folks, please know this: there is no luck and there is no guesswork. There is a proved and predictable pattern of activities. Also, know this: there are no new mistakes. There are new people making old mistakes and old people making old mistakes. If your teacher, coach, or mentor could be beside you day by day for your first 365 days, don't you suppose logic suggests that fewer mistakes would be made, therefore greater results, therefore greater confidence, therefore more willingness to act, therefore a different kind of business results? When we began utilizing this service in its entirety, many of you are going to say, why, oh, why, Lord, did we have to wait until 2025 in order to begin using artificial intelligence? The monthly lead program, I think, is of tremendous value. Why? Not for the value that you might guess. Over the course of my career, I've been very hesitant to use leads. Why? Because what if a person pays for a lead and they don't get a new customer or a new business builder? They could then be resentful. I would certainly never want that. But what if there was no cost associated with that lead? What if that was just part of your subscription? Is it not logical then that we could help a person make this transition, a transition I have found to be the stumbling block, the wall in front of so many? Most of us start as employees. We don't start as entrepreneurs. We have a job first. And with that job, what do we find out? Well, we know when to come to work. We know when to leave. We know exactly what is required of us. And if we do these things, we have security in our job. But then there are those of us who find that those shoes don't fit us very well. There are those, in fact, if you're like me, then that would mean that you're entrepreneurial. If you're like me, then these things would all be true of you. You want to work when you want, where you want, with whom you want, and if you want. And you'd like to establish your own value in the marketplace as opposed to having an employer or as opposed to having an employee or an operations manual describe what you should be paid. You see, what I just described was not a job description. I just described entrepreneurship and the transition between employee, where one must be completely reactive, to entrepreneur, where one must be completely proactive, is difficult. What if in the middle, each of our new business builders had 25 or 50 or 100 candidates every month automatically delivered to their app that said, hey, I want to know more. Could you please tell me more? You have knowledge and information that I'd like to have. Can you tell me more? Wouldn't it obviously and clearly be easier for this person struggling to transition from employment to entrepreneurship, from react to proact, having this middle ground of reacting to the demands of one or the request of one who wants information? Now you get to be proactive in the way that you take the conversation from here. Folks, this is the difference in success and failure for many. It's the difference in modest success for some and huge success for others. There's a lot to this. There's more than we've talked about so far. Every plan includes your own AI twin and avatar, but think of it as a digital twin. It looks like you, it talks like you, its mannerisms are yours. You can give it any script, or you can use your personalized GPT to create one. Personalized GPT. What's that about? 700 million people on planet Earth logged into Chat GPT in the last week, and they did it to get answers to questions, solutions to problems, and they got good answers and good solutions. They didn't get perfect answers. Why? Because Chat GPT pulled that from the body of knowledge readily available on the internet. It was generic. It was not specific to your project. What if you could have at your fingertips? What if every single script loaded into that digital avatar was specific to your business, to your enterprise, to your life? This is a step up, folks, and you can write the script or you can allow your personal GPT to do it. And unlike me, and probably unlike you, your AI twin can speak fluently in 150 languages. The value proposition is extreme. There is a $19 annual fee. So at the time of registration, not in our current pre-market environment, we have a week or so left of pre-market. But in this pre-market environment, one gets a free look for a week. But a week from now, you'll be required to spend $19. And then a year from now, on the anniversary date, $19 will renew. There is a basic package and a pro package. They cost $49 or $99. And that is an ongoing monthly subscription to utilize the process. And what exactly does one get? Your AI video twin, your likeness, your voice speaking your script flawlessly in 150 languages, and you can use your personal GPT to create it. Personalized AI writing assistant. This is the first cog in the gear that will begin growing your social media presence. When we're growing your social media presence, what are we doing? We are growing your influence. We are growing your market value. Business profiles. Perhaps you have multiple messages to deliver. Well, one would not say the same thing to a potential life insurance client as one would say to a team member building a direct selling organization. So if you have multiple messages to deliver, which many of us do, multiple profiles are very, very important. AI powered social growth. This, again, a part of one more cog in the gear of growing your social media presence, which means what? One more cog in the gear of growing your market value. A CRM with screenshot import and the profile enrichment, telling you what your contact, your candidate wants to speak about, such that we can help him or her do what they want at some economic or personal advantage, as opposed to trying to convince them to do what we want. An instant web builder and maintenance tool, which eliminates that cost and expense. And by the way, as sophisticated as you want it to be, an enhanced CRM with a professional lead funnel guiding each person to their point of logical conclusion, whatever it is, and over 2 billion searchable candidates. An interactive AI avatar. This for me, just shout out from the rooftops, folks, bang the gong and ring the bell. Up until literally now in my life, I've been able to deliver my message. And I, of course, think my message is important. You think your message is important. I believe my message is important, but I've only been able to deliver it up until now in the room where I was standing, outside of it, to people who spoke my language, on the time zones, the time of the day when I happen to be awake. I literally can't wait. Just a few days from now, not weeks, not months, a few days from now, I will be able to be, and so will you, in any nation in the world, in any state in that nation, in any city and any home, all at once. And I'll be able to speak fluently because of all the content loaded. In my own case, 50 years of business content and personal development content will be loaded into that avatar. And I think of the digital twin, I hate to even call it an avatar. And I think of the change in productivity when instead of whatever the number of waking hours that I can be sharp and at my best, when suddenly I can be sharp and at my best, when suddenly you can be sharp and at your best, and when your best can become so dramatically improved. I can't speak in 150 languages this week. I'm going to be able to next week. Unmatched value, as I've described, just trying to go out into the marketplace and acquire that conversational avatar. This is remarkably inexpensive. Gone are the days when direct selling companies offer a product that has been priced to meet the need of a compensation plan. Folks, this is a remarkably changed situation. You cannot buy what this company sells for less money anywhere else, period. If you go and try to buy the individual pieces to create what this company sells, it will cost you 3 to 5 times more and it will not be as effective. That is the truth. And so, what exactly is the market opportunity? It cannot even be described in these words. What is the market opportunity? There are nearly 8 billion people on planet Earth. Today, about 3% of them use AI. That means there's 7.5 billion people who don't yet, and they're all going to in the next decade. The question is simply this. It's not a question of whether you will adopt AI. You have no choice. That's coming. You had no choice with computerization. You had no choice with the internet. You have no choice with AI. The choice is, do you become a conduit to other people's use? And if so, then there is simply no limitation to what the opportunity is. That is the truth. But one should address it with a degree of urgency because the train is already, engine's puffing, folks. It's already puffing. It's starting. Do not get behind, get in front. When you are the one who guides another person to the use of the product or service, you earn an acquisition bonus. It's 50% in the very first month. They buy the smaller package, it's $50. You make 25. Doesn't sound like much, They buy the bigger package. It's $100. You get 50. Doesn't sound like much. Well, no, Samantha and I've done that 140 times in the last 24 days. It's not nothing, but what it does is it leads to something far more profound. And of course, there is more. Lev AI does not reduce the volume. Dollars come into home-based businesses, and for some reason I've never really understood, companies reduce the dollar that came in and they assign it a PV or a CV, some percentage of the dollar on which they'll pay commissions. We don't do this. You bring business to the company, you'll get paid for it. We try to meet people where they are. My world has been a world of building teams, but other people's worlds are different. I have a friend. She actually was. She watched our children. Was a nanny of sorts for us when she was a young girl, and she went on to star in a movie with Tom Cruise, and she won Dancing with the Stars with her partner. She has 25 million Instagram followers. 25 million Instagram followers. All 25 million are going to use AI. They all listen to what she suggests. If she chooses to use her influence to introduce them to Lev AI, they're going to use AI anyway. If they use Lev AI because of her influence and because of the superior nature and superior pricing product, superior pricing opportunity, then she will get paid 20% month after month after month after month after month for as long as their subscription is active. And once again, how high is up? How big is big? She has 25 million followers. They are all going to use AI. For people who have influence because they've already experienced their day in the sun, understand this: every person over whom you exert influence, they're going to use AI anyway. Let it be that you are a conduit to their use, and you will then earn that 20% month after month after month after month. There are others of you here who, more like me, have focused your career on the development of teams, organizations. This is a simple 8-level deep unilevel compensation plan, paying 20% on Gen 1, 4% of cash on the next 7 generations. I'm going to skip and come back to leverage bonus in a second. Whenever an idea is red hot, there will be a mass movement towards that idea. Well, so let's measure that for a second. There's been not a single penny spent in advertising or promotion for this company. 24 days ago, there was not one person in it. 24 days later, there are 25,000 people in it. I would say that qualifies for a mass movement of people at this earliest stage of the game. That 25,000, that'll be 250,000 before you know it. It'll be 250,000 people before you know it. And it'll be 2.5 million very shortly after that. Write it down and say you heard it here first. And don't allow any of those grains of sand of opportunity to filter from the top of the glass to the bottom. But whenever there's a mass movement of people, then there is a requirement in the compensation plan that it extend the block of payout beneath whatever that's 8 or 9 or whatever the arbitrary block of payout is in the unilevel. No, just extend it indefinitely. Pay leadership until they recreate themselves, however deep they have to look at any particular vertical progression. That's what the infinity bonus does. Just maintaining that 4% payout indefinitely until you've recreated yourself. And then that leads to the leverage bonus when we get paid because other people get paid. That's an incredible thing. And so through 4 generations, you enroll one, who enrolls 2, you enroll Bob, who enrolls Sue, who enrolls Jane, who enrolls Bill. That's a 4-generation progression in your enrollment tree. When anyone in those first 4 generations of your enrollment tree earns a acquisition bonus, you get a matching bonus. If they earn a team commission in the unilevel, you get a matching bonus. If they earn an infinity bonus, you earn a matching bonus. This will create the biggest checks in the history of home business. Why do I say that? Because I have seen some of the largest checks myself. I've received some of them with product offerings and companies that would appeal to 3 or 4% of people. When I contemplate the possibility when a few billion people will be required to opt into AI. And right now, at this moment in time, we have the superior offering with the best pricing, the combination of the best offering and the best pricing, and an extraordinary lucrative compensation plan tied to it. And that then brings me to the question: are you ready to lead the future, the AI future, with Lev AI? I am. And I invite you to join me, join us, join whomever invited you here in the idea that we're not just going to participate. Of course we are. That's a mandate. Are we going to lead? That is not a mandate. That is an option. Let's exercise that option. I urge you, I implore you, contact whoever invited you to be here and ask to receive the online enrollment form. Register and get ready. Register. Pay close attention for the next handful of days until we launch. Gather all of the information. Also, receive the WhatsApp registration form so that you can receive our monthly communications. Folks, I do wish that I could just snap my fingers and cause my entire life experience to get out of my head and into yours. Wish I could snap them again, get my out of my heart what's there to yours. This is not just one of the important days in our lives. Remember, I told you that I'd had eight big meetings. I could really only quantify seven of them until a little while ago. And then, upon reflection, I know now that Andy K was one of my big meetings. And so there were eight. And then I know that it'll be 3 weeks ago on Thursday when I went and spent time with Terry LaCour. Known Terry on the periphery way for many, many years because he'd been successful in the industry and I have. But I went and I met with Terry LaCour. And I know absolutely without question that that then became for me the ninth big meeting, probably the catalyst, probably the exclamation point, probably the one at which all others will be measured for the balance of my life and career. I'm hoping very much this little bit of time we've spent together right now proves to be one of the big meetings in your life that you can, from this moment forward, begin to live life in the absence of financial pressure because you've helped other people live life in the absence of financial pressure as a direct result of helping them leverage artificial intelligence by becoming a key part of the leadership group of Lev AI. That's my invitation to you. God bless you all. Have the best day yet. And let's make the coming 7 days the most productive of our lives. In all likelihood, they are the most important days of our careers because we don't get any more bites of this apple. This is our chance to create a foundation upon which others build for decades to come. Let's build a great one. See you along the way. Thank you.